Thank you for being here with me for my Illuminate the World Tour Australia. We will have people coming on here live with us today, but mainly it's also about sharing the replay with everybody you know who you think will benefit from this enlightenment, empowerment in your life, their lives, in their leadership and the world. Because that is essentially what this tour is about. In 14-15, I traveled the world with my Treasure Change the World tour, meeting and talking to as many people as possible to remind them how much they matter. So you got that message too now. Not only that, but Illuminate the World tour is free online messages for sharing between us, connecting to countries around the world, where for every country that I intuitively tap into, I'll tap into the strength of the country or some of them. This is by no means exhaustive information. It's more tuning into, when we have an hour together, what energies and insights and messages want to come forward for you, whether you are listening in live, whether you're watching this tomorrow or 10 years from now. Please bear with me that the information that I'm sharing, I am intuitively tuning into. So fact correct me please in the messages below, but also allow yourself to take what matters to you. And if there's something that doesn't resonate with you, then just let it be or let it go. Then the information is for someone else. So the first 30 minutes here together, I will stream intuitive information for you. And then the next half hour, I'll tune into more personal tools for your empowerment in your connection with Australia. So are you from Australia, or are you interested in Australia, or are you just tuning in to tap into all the countries to harness these amazing energies that each country holds? Then take a deep breath and allow yourself to be with me for this hour. You can always come back. So do you wish to, if you need to leave, do so and come back in the replay, or use the replay as many times as possible for your empowerment. So Australia, it has been such a pleasure preparing for this energy, because working with the energy of Australia, I'm also tuning into a country that I hold very dear. Some of my closest friends live in Australia, and some of the work I've done has been very important to me. But also on my Treasure Change the World tour, I visited Australia. So what was given to me at first was to revisit my last tour, because in Australia, when we go way back, there is an extremely powerful spiritual wisdom. And that belongs to, or came from, the Aboriginal culture. And that wisdom now is ingrained in all of Australians. It lies in the blueprint of Australia. So I remember when I visited Australia, and I went to one of the, hi Tony, one of the messages was that was given to me in the most amazing way. I went along to the last court day where Aboriginals, or a certain group of Aboriginals, were given the rights back for their land, or at least to walk on the land that they used to walk on before it got privately owned. So that was very powerful, because the right for land, or when we talk about energy as we're doing now, traveling the world, we are able to connect to anywhere on this planet, or the universe for that sake. But being there, that was extremely significant for me. And then when I was talking to one of the Aboriginal leaders afterwards, celebrating this victory, and he was asking me about why I was, as a Danish person, in the outback and watching a court, final court date like this. And I was sharing about my world tour. And he said, what has surprised you the most? And I shared that no matter who I talked to, whether it was a Hollywood producer in one of the big films in history, or whether it was the man on the street or the housewife or whoever it was that I met on my path, common to everybody, they had reconnected with the fact that they had immense meaning in their lives, that they were here in this time for a reason, surrounded by the people they were, meeting the people they were for a reason. They had a significant impact. So the more they allowed themselves to be everything they could be, the more they were contributing. But even with their mere breath, they were contributing. And I just saw the surprise in people's eyes that the everyday life took that away from them, instead of us having to bring that back to people. Everyday life has to be about that, reminding the people around us that they matter as much as ourselves. So then he asked me where I traveled, and I said the surprising thing was that due to my late grandmother's health conditions, I had to travel back and out again, back to Denmark and out again 2 or 3 times. And he said, that has meaning. That is you reminding the Western society that you live a life where you are sending out energy and you get surprised what comes back to you. So it was literally this, he called it boomerang living, that we were surprised every time the boomerang came back and hit us in the head, that, you know, we exhausted ourselves, we exhausted the planet, we exhausted everything, and then we got surprised that we didn't have the energy to regenerate fast enough. So I thought that was really just something to take with us today from that Aboriginal leader. But also what comes to mind is that me being from Denmark and now tuning into the history of Australia, we cannot forget that the Danish Queen is Australian, Her Royal Highness Queen Mary I. And so there's this now genetic connection between Denmark and Australia, which has been many other ways for blended couples around the planet. So one of the things that the Danish people admire for Mary is that she holds such an authenticity and authority at the same time. And what I'm being shown about Australia, that is every time I visit, but also in this imagery that is being shown to me now, is that the Australian people has such a way of portraying an authenticity at the same time as taking authority in what it is that they do. And I love that when we travel throughout Australia, you always feel that people are very much down to earth. They're very much open for a conversation and living their own life and not making, you know, big scene around what they have nor the wealth that they have. So I think for everyone, Australians and us from outside of Australia tapping into this program, is that remember our authenticity, bring forward who we are, and not trying to be anything that we are not, being honest and open and curious, and taking ourselves serious. Because who we are, it's a serious matter. We're here for a reason. What we do and what we portray, how we walk into the world and communicate what we are, that makes a difference. And it's up to us whether it's going to be positive or negative. So I love that about the Australian culture. So when I traveled to Australia, and all the times I've been, but especially being in Australia surrounded by the good friends I have there, you just saw Tony popping up, Tony Riley. She's not only a dear friend of mine, but I also had the luck that she came to visit me, many stops on my Treasure Change the World tour, but also synchronistically we were in some of the same country where she was for her business, and I had intuitively decided to go there. And I think for all of us in life, when we do something significantly or not, no matter who we are, if we feel it's significant or not, it will be. You have significance no matter what you do and where you are. So remember that. But having the energy to be who we are, no matter where we are, our friendships and our family matters. And being supported to that extent on my journeys, whether we were together around the world or whether we were online, had significant meaning for me, continuing being who I was as I traveled, but also being supported by somebody knowing me, a good friend knowing me and pushing me to keep going when things were hard and celebrate with when things were good. And so when I look at Australians, when the first time I met Australians was in Shanghai, when I lived in Shanghai. And I remember it was an after work drink, and I got surprised. It was a group of men having fun. And first I was very taken back by the humor. It was very tough humor, so it shocked me a lot until I realized that they were just having fun and it was more the humor. And when I experience joy and humor in Australia, there is a certain toughness to it sometimes, depending on the circles I have found myself in. But I also looked at what I see in Australia as an immense strength is that, compared to Denmark at least, Australia has such a vast richness in all poles. So there is the most amazing animals you'll see, in my opinion, platypus, kangaroos, you'll see parrots, there is so many beautiful and amazing animals. And then you will have the sharks, and you will have the poisonous spiders and the dangerous snakes. And to a foreigner or somebody from Scandinavia, I have never in any country in the world lifted my cover that many times before going to bed, making sure that the sheet was closed around my bed and taking very good care on myself, no matter who I was visiting or where I was staying. But having to live with these extremes, hot weather in summer and colder weathers in winter as well, the vastness of the country, it's such a big country. So for me, traveling 5 hours in Denmark, I would have traveled from one side of the country to the other. Whereas in Australia, you would hardly have reached inland if you drive for 5 hours. So the extremes that people live under also make them extremely resilient. So I think for Australians and us tuning into the energy, there is a resilience to tap into. And if we look into the culture itself, I heard many people in Australia joking too, but still there was a certain resistance in the fact they were joking about, it was prisoners sent to the island. So the white people in Australia, we're just criminals. And I would like to heal that, because whoever was punished to send there learned to live and learned to get by. So there was a resilience in itself. But Australia is so much more. It's a country of it is a country of extreme richness. The natural resources in the country, the resources in the people in terms of resilience, as I just mentioned, there's just this incredible richness. And when we look back before, probably before man came to live on the planet, it was just an amazing region in itself. And so for any Australian joking about why or what Australia is, please heal that part in your own history and tap back to that incredible wisdom that is the blueprint of your energy. And for all of us to tap into even in the ground, the mineral that lies in the ground of Australia, it's incredible. So when we look at the energies and the healing and the strength and the power that lies when we tap into that beautiful country, we can learn so much. And for each and one of us, there's a different take as well to that richness in the ground, the richness in natural resources. But there's also a beautiful sense of community and sharing and getting together. If you look at the tradition of the barbecues, and if you look at the parks, and if you look at the pubs and the bars, there is so much gathering and community in Australia. And I think for Australians, it's natural that you get together. It's a natural way to be social, but the way that you are together is such a welcoming and opening way of being. I'm sure there is, as everywhere else in the world, I'm sure that there is also the opposite. But I think one thing is important is that when we tap into the energy of our own country and countries of others, it is to allow ourselves to tap into the positives in a way that we take so much for granted in our own culture. So we can easily find negative things about our own cultures or even that of others. But that is again the choice. Do we want to be connected to that of which is positive? Do we wish to be connected to that so our energy is radiating, emanating a positivity and a strength for that of which we're connecting ourselves to? And when I look at the social life in Australia, it's an extremely welcoming sense of community. And when you travel into the world, even though there are many Australian cliques, and as I said, how I in the beginning were a bit hesitant about the Australian side of the networking event, there was never a closeness. You were always welcome and you were always let in. And I think that is something that carrying that energy into the world, or sitting in Australia, even if you're not traveling, but being that and cherishing that energy and being more of that, or extending that also when you are looking at the television, when you are thinking about the global situation as it is, all of us around the globe, can we please look at the positive sides of community? And even when communities gather around a value, even that is of extreme value. Because that is what we need to do now. We need to grow the conscious community. We need to grow consciousness and community and openness and curiosity in our lives, in our companies, in politics, in the global community. And those of you who are watching or will watch this program further on in time, you are open. So reminding yourself to be more of these values, be more of that opening up, will grow your lives, and will grow your companies, and will grow the world. Because the more we stick together, those of us with conscious values, with an awareness and an openness into the world, we will begin to create a better world. As individuals, yes, we can do big things, but united we're stronger. So bringing that into the world, that energy of community, that energy of openness, that energy of welcoming people in, that is an incredible strength that we have in the world. I also believe the way that the society has been built in Australia, with free healthcare, free schooling, there is so much in the community that cares for those in the community. Again, political directions at the moment, or whatever it is around the world, that's not what I am asked to be focusing on. I'm being asked to focus on what is, and that is a gift to any community. The more we nurture everybody in the society, the stronger the society becomes. The more we exclude, the more we take care of a fewer part, the bigger the distance it becomes in safety and feeling secure, and then we see the conflicts to start. So Australia has such a has figured that one out, which is lovely, and I love that, to see that in the exact opposite side of the world as to where I am raised. And as you can see, the fall is with us in Denmark. This is the first fall day, literally 12 degrees, and sweaters are out. And I know in Australia your spring has started. So the poles, we really are on different poles. We really are on the exact opposites in many ways. But there's also so many similarities between the Danish culture and the Australian culture. And I wish everybody non-Australian will look into Australia from your own perspective and find where are your similarities. Because that is a thing that Australia is a lot of, at least in the bigger cities. I've only traveled in bigger cities and a little bit into the outback, but I have been surprised by the multicultural society that Australia also is. So I think that there would be very few people in the world not being able to find something that they can connect to with the Australian culture. And if not, then connect to the openness. And when you as Australians are sitting in Australia trying to have new visions of something inside of Australia, or something far reaching out into the world, no matter what, tune into those strengths that your country has. Tune into the energy of the natural resourceful wealth that you have. Tune into a country and a continent that has built itself from the Aboriginal and their culture. Then a different culture has come in and it has blended, and some has been forgotten and something is being revived. Then you have, I know there's also a strong community, a religious community. And one thing that I have learned throughout my work the last decades, working with people, working with leadership, working with top performance, is that working with so many different cultures, that energy and spirituality and consciousness that is not exclusive from religion, it can go hand in hand. I've worked with people from Australia, from the Middle East, from the US, from India, from 30 countries around the world. I have helped people, and every single time I've asked them to connect to their faith, their religion, feel that energy and feel what faith has done for them and how they can connect to the highest source, but instead of something outside of them, bring it through them and be a vessel, be a channel for faith, and bringing that into everything that they are. And that's something I believe, that connecting those who have religion with them in Australia, those of you who have that, carry that with you, but at the same time tuning into that incredible energy of what the Aboriginals came with the respect for nature, the sense of energies, and being able to tune into past generations and the wisdom they bring with them. I think it's an incredible force in your country, that making sure to bring everything into play that you are and that you believe in. And of course, what you don't believe in and what doesn't resonate with you, well, you walk your path. But the curiosity and the openness, knowing that nothing excludes the other thing, has such a relevance. And to me, I'm Christian and baptized Christian, but I'm also extremely spiritual and have been developing my spiritual capacity for more than 30 years. I started when I was 12, meditating on a daily basis, and then I've visited so many spiritual places around the planet and connected to many different religions. But nothing excludes the other. On the contrary, we only become stronger in bringing everything that we believe in at play, connecting to the values and walking and talking, being our values. As a very young girl in school, I loved school. So already in 7th grade, I read everything there was to read in our library. And so the school teacher that I had in the English classes, she sent in for the books from other libraries. And my first long English speaking book that I read was about Aboriginals. And and for me, the way it spoke about this young boy and his walkabout, and how he had to learn to survive in the bush alone and follow his intuition and connect with the lands and find his way home and follow the stars, that was so meaningful to me, because it gave as much sense to me as when I heard about Jesus in Bible school, where I listened as a child without religion. I listened to the stories about the man who could heal, the man who spoke of values and spoke about unconditional love and caring for other people. So all of these different aspects, the storytelling in religions or in faiths or in ways of being connected, it can make sense to us. And I love that when I visit Australia, that there's so many aspects to tap into faith and energy, and you can sense the strong energies no matter where you go. And I think that is of essence, that if you have never traveled away from Australia, you don't even know how amazing and powerful the energies of your country is when we come to visit from an outside perspective. It's such an exotic place to visit, and from an energy perspective, it's such a strong energy. Whether we go to the beautiful villages or cities, the coast, or traveling inland, it has such an immense strength to it. Have you, as an Australian, traveled a lot, or are you, as me, somebody who has visited Australia but not from Australia? You will know what I'm talking about. I believe, as an Australian, to come home and be home in those energies, it would be very soothing and powerful for you, as much as visiting the world would be. So I think it's important to everybody listening into this show right now, I'm just hearing, to tap into the strength that lies in the country. The resilience, the empowerment, the colors, the vastness, the richness in culture, the differences in the country, so that allow ourselves to open up to all aspects within ourselves, not just one side of us, but allowing so many different aspects to open up within us and in our leadership and in our organizations and in the world, to bring that at play. Because the more we open up ourselves to everything that we are, the more our leadership reflects that. We assist our families to open up and be more of who they are. We, in our companies, we exude an energy that uplift people. We start to speak a language where we're opening up to the opportunity for people to be everything that they are. And the same for our organizations and our visions and our global community. So that is something, a strength to tap into for the people in Australia and for all of us outside of Australia. The first half hour has finished, so I want you to be with the energy and the insights that has been popping up as I've tuned in and opened up to the energy of Australia. It's not exhaustive by any means. This is only like a small part, but bring it with you for yourself to thrive more, succeed more, and make a positive impact in the world. And do not hesitate to contact me if I in any ways can assist you in your own endeavor, or that your teams or in your organization to work with your visions and be more conscious, individuals and businesses. So moving into the second part, as I do, I have these, the second half I will guide some visualizations for you as individuals to be empowered and to tune into the energies of Australia. I'll also pull some of my cards from my Treasure Visionary Guidance cards. Pull a card for what does this card have to do with how we can be empowered by Australia as we're tuning into the energies. So you will also have some personal energy with you before we finish this off. So you can always go back to the replay as well, that I will be posting back on YouTube after a couple of days, and so be able to go back to it. So I'll just get my cards there right here next to me. So, but okay, so here we are. Yeah, even the cards that I made more than 10 years ago, they have the globe. This is the logo for my company, Treasure World Leaders, the brand that I have. And for me, treasure and the logo is that the treasures that we hold as a world and as individuals, the more we tune into them, the greater energy we exude and the more people we impact positively. And as an organization, it's also how we reach our clients and impact our stakeholder chain. And as individuals, it's how we thrive more and allow everybody around us to thrive more too. So that is the essence of it. So I hope that can just remind you of something. So today, I'll start with the cards first. So we bring that into the guided visualization. So the card that I pulled for us in this session is greater than yourself. Conscious excellence is about connecting to that of which is greater than yourself. Breathe, connect, and then act for the good of all. And I think that is such an essential card for us. When we're tuning in to a country with so many layers to it as Australia, so much richness, so much power, I think it's essential to tap into the fact that when we're connecting to a country, anytime we're connecting to an energy really, or a vision or strategy, or creating new goals, or any intention that we set, I believe that we always, the more we realize that we are first able to connect to something so much greater than ourselves, to empower ourselves. But also, I believe that we're here for things so much more greater than ourselves. And none of us are exempt from challenges. And I do believe that throughout our lives, we're being put in situations at some point, some early, some later, some throughout their lives, where we will, if we only focus on ourselves, we will be asking the question, wow, is this life really worth living? Or life is hard, life is too tough, or these thoughts that we could have when times are tough. But if we look at the greater scheme, we are here for a reason. And without challenges, we wouldn't grow. And in the challenging situations, I know myself, I've been in situations where I thought, okay, maybe this wasn't right. Maybe there are challenges that's so great that they will break me. But then I came out on the other side and I became stronger. If you are in a challenging situation right now, listen to me, you will grow and things will change. And your experience will change you so that how you relate to the world will change the world too, for the better. We'll be more understanding of what other people are going through. We'll be more understanding of the people around us. Once we get out on the other side, please don't be impatient with yourself. We can't be impatient with ourselves or others when they go through tough times, because new ways have to integrate in us, a new understanding. We need to walk through our challenges. Even when it comes to grief, you saw my dear friend Tony that was with us. She works with grief as well, as much as many other concepts in in soul life psychology. But I experienced grief very late in life. I lost my now late grandmother, who was my strongest support. I think she was literally my cheerleader since the day I was born till the day she left this planet. And the last couple of years, I truly wish for her she found peace. And I've forgotten to connect to how it would be when she was no longer there. So it took me a long time, and it shocked me how deep it impacted me. And now I'm just talking about a personal experience in grief and loss, but I know there are many other things where people go through and suffer through. And my last 7 years has been literally just that. It's as if I've been so privileged to not have loss and grief in my life, and then the last 7 years have just brought challenges on end, and now I feel we're coming out of it. I'm like starting to breathe again and say, wow, I did get stronger from this. It's amazing. So I'm here to tell you that I had not come through the last 7 years the way I am had I not connected to something greater than myself. And I will bet my life on, the more we connect to that which is greater than ourselves, the greater energy we will have, and the greater healing we'll go through. And when we come out on the other side, we will have grown stronger in a way that we would not have if we had not connected to, if it's faith, is connected to that which is greater than ourselves, but also even just holding on to the greater than ourselves, that we need to be here for our children, we need to be here and be strong for our employees, we need to be here and be stronger for whatever is the greater human reason for going through the challenge and come out stronger. So it's not only just faith and the universe, or how you, God, whatever you determine it is for you, your faith, your strength, that which is higher than ourselves. It's also our human purpose. So when we talk about conscious excellence and elite conscious excellence and elite conscious leadership that I work with on an everyday basis, It's about connecting to that which is greater than ourselves on a daily basis, from our breath to our thoughts to what we tune into in the world. So breathe, connect, and then act for the good of all. So let's go into the guided visualization. If some of you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can stay open and just listen, lean back, just relax. That's the thing that will help you the most, no matter what you choose to do. And then connect to that which is greater than yourself. Connect to, now we talk about Australia, connect to the greatness in Australia. That is greater than ourselves. That is greater than anything. If we're only connecting to the energy of our own energy, be in touch now, breathing in. Allow yourself to connect to Australia, whether you're visualizing Australian nature, the Australian people that you know. I have so many people that I care for deeply, so I'll connect to their hearts now. Connect to the animals that you appreciate the most. Connect to the coral reefs, connect to the vastness of Australia, connect to the history of Australia, connect to the Aboriginal stories, the grandness in what has been built in Australia. You can connect to the great athletes throughout time, the great business people throughout time, the great teachers, whatever you feel inspired about being Australian or looking into Australia as an outsider. Just take a breath and connect to all that which is greater than ourselves. The greatness of Australia, whether you wish to tune into Australia throughout time or a specific thing. If you are an athlete, you want to tap into the athletes. If you are a business person, tune into that. And then if you want to tune into the love you share with people there, do that. If you are an Australian, tap into all the ancestry in your family. Tap into the strength of everyone that lived before you. Just be with the strength in your country, in Australia. And for every breath you take, just feel more and more empowered. And when you find your thing or all the things in one, just sit with it and take a deep breath and slowly allow a vision, an imagery, or a word or a sentence, something that you carry with you that empowers you from the energies of Australia. It could also be us coming from outside, people we met in Australia, places we've been to. Just make sure that you tap in to the energies. And you as Australians, it could also be you tuning into the world, how you wish to connect to the world and bring more of who you are out into the world. If you have a global vision and you want to impact something out in the world or bring something from the outside world to Australia, wealth, not only the wealth of Australia, but you want to create wealth in the world or bring wealth back to Australia. Everything that you are, just allow yourself to tap into what is coming up for you. Why do you wish to be empowered right now? And then ask Australia to empower that in your life right now. just sit with this energy, and in your own time you just open your eyes, but we stay in this energy, we hear the rain. And to me, rain is abundance, rain is allowing things to grow. And in our place, like in our country right now, it's the rain and the cold brings down the leaves from the tree. It's allowing new to be built. So in my part of the world, the autumn is coming to cleanse and clear and delete, so that new can grow back. And in Australia, the spring is coming with the new after the cleanse. So allow, in Australia, me bringing from Denmark the clearing and cleansing energy, so that you walking into spring, you take a deep breath and just allow the energy that I'm bringing from the autumn to clean, cleanse, clear, delete everything that you don't need in your life, in your business, in your country, for the world. Just allow it to delete itself from your energy, so that you can be blossoming in the spring. And everybody else that will watch this program at some point in time in the replay, allow yourself to have this cleansing, clearing, deleting energy of the autumn. Allow the rain to cleanse you. And then tap into the Australian spring. I love that we're connecting right now with the spring in Australia, because now you're ready for new, with these new perspectives being brought to your awareness. And we can all be connecting to that spring. I saw somebody, I didn't see who wrote it, so you can go below and see the comments, but somebody wrote something about a fireworks that came about as I was speaking. And I love that energy, and I'm sure that this person writing this, you would all sense the energy of a firework release, and this newness of colors and multiple ways of showing up in life. And that is what I'm hoping that you will tune into watching this show and being here with me on my world tour. You watching this is making my world tour. Without anybody watching now or the replay, there wouldn't be a world tour. So you are my world tour. So feel that you are part of the world, you're part of my world, and you're part of my contribution to the world as I'm traveling online to illuminate the world, one country at the time. So I hope that you will all, if you get thoughts or ideas that will empower others, visions that you had about your own country or people from the outside, write a message in the comments. Because as people will write in the comments throughout the years, we will build a global community that empowers one another. So whatever thought you had that can empower others about Australia, or about a thought you had, something it brought to you, something positive that it gave to you, please write in the comments. Or if you wish to tell me about some positive thoughts you had, you're more than welcome to write me. You can write me at info@treasureworldleaders.com, or you can go to my website, Christel Rosenkilde Christensen.com, and you'll be able to contact me through my contact page. It will be sent to me, and I made sure that I'll read all of your comments. And I would also love to work with you. I know this information is more generic, but when I work with a person or a company or a nation, get very specific, detailed information about pitfalls and opportunities, about a vision, strategy, or a person's life. So do not hesitate to contact me for whatever reason you may think of. So, a vision keeps coming to my mind as I'm tuning into Australia, tuning into who you are as you chose to be with me today, whether you're tuning in with me in 10 years from now or today. One thing is important for me to say is that nothing has ever been a negative experience for me in Australia, and I'm sure there are lots of other people that have had different experiences, but if they have been challenging, they made me grow. If they have been life-threatening, they taught me something. And one thing for me that has been with me for Australia is that in the beginning of my Treasure Change the World tour, somebody gave me some earrings of the Big Dipper, and Logan Hollowell from LA. And as I meditated in a non-denominational church and temple in LA, a vision came to me and it kept saying, follow the stars, and the Big Dipper came as a vision. I think I had the vision first, and then I got the earrings, which were very synchronistic for me. And traveling to Australia, the Big Dipper kept following me around, and at some point I was out swimming a place that was quite dangerous, and I just loved the challenge to swim out into the waves. But as I was swimming, I knew I was I was probably, even going into the water, I knew this was probably going to be I should probably not go swimming there. And as I was swimming out into the waters, suddenly I had this deep-rooted fear that I knew there was a shark under me. The water took me very close to a cliff, and struggling from getting from that point into the beach, I lost one of these earrings for the Big Dipper. And I remember having that thought that I knew instantly before I went into the water that I shouldn't, and I did it anyways. So losing that earring was just a reminder that I was a person who always followed my intuition in life, and this is my work too. That is who I am. It's the essence of what I was. And so for all of you, if you can be reminded to follow the stars, follow your intuition with anything it is in life. Nothing is wrong when you follow your intuition. You may be taken on detours, you may be taken on paths you hadn't expected, but follow your intuition will make you grow more than anything in life, and you'll get the most amazing adventures, meetings, and heart connections than you'll ever grant yourself. But you also have to steer around the things that are dangerous in life. You have to steer around the great risks where your heart knows to be careful, where your heart knows not to go. So to me, it's always reminding me, when I watch the Big Dipper, I always feel at home when I see it on the sky, and I'm always being reminded to always follow not only my heart, but the intuitive guidance of my heart. And I've never regretted any adventure I've had in life, whether I travel to a certain country, a cooperation with people, a meeting in life with a friend or a loved one, because I knew I followed my heart. But Australia teaches us a lot about the dangers as well. We're in Denmark, we don't have sharks, we don't have any dangerous animals. There's not one single animal in our country that can kill us or hurt us, except if we're stupid enough to walk in front of a cow or being uncareful around pigs or sheep, but there are no dangerous animals. So I think Australia can teach us a lot about survival and learn to apply instinct and intuition, separate them and apply them in an aligned form of decision making, because that's one of the biggest things when I see, whether it's business people or private individuals, very intuitive people have not learned to separate gut feeling from intuition. And I'm not saying we have to separate them, but we need to separate the understanding of them and apply both equally. So we need to have the instinct and the intuition going on strongly in our leadership and in our lives, but without being aware which one is what and learning to listen to them, we will not avoid the pitfalls and we will miss out opportunities. So tap into, when you're looking at the energies of Australia, sitting down and tune into some of the more life-threatening aspects that there are in Australia, and let them teach you. Let the shark teach you, let the snake teach you, let the spider teach you in your meditation, so that you learn to understand, this is my instinct, this is survival, this is pure survival. It's how do I become resilient? And then there is the intuitive vision, which is the way forward. And that might be more listening into the Aboriginal wisdom or the faith-based wisdom, where we are connecting to something so much greater than ourselves from a faith-based perspective, because that will guide us into the future, making the best possible decisions. So the instinct will assist us with the pitfalls, avoiding pitfalls, going into the survival mode, and the intuitive scope will lead us and guide us towards the opportunities. And it's just so important to learn how to apply this in your life and how to apply this in your business, and live an elite conscious life, an elite conscious leadership, an elite consciousness in performance and in any aspect of our lives, without becoming fanatical, but staying aware. That is my passion. This is everything that I'm about and that I love to teach, but also advice from when I'm tuning into things, being the advisor or the teacher, teaching these aspects as well. So I love tuning into the energy of Australia, because there is certainly ground for training both the instinct and the intuition. So I hope that everybody watching now or later, that you will allow yourself to harness as much power and energy from Australia, feeling the gratitude from connecting to the greatness of the Australian culture, the Australian energy, the Australian ways. And then, as all of us, in gratitude, when we're connecting to anything, also send our gratitude, send the energy back to Australia, or if you're in Australia, just sit with that gratitude and share it with the country, just so that we are creating abundance and prosperity from harnessing the positives, harnessing the power, harnessing the empowerment that we can, and at the same time sending the energy of gratitude back to Australia or into the country if you are in Australia, and truly be proud as an Australian, and us outside of it tuning into that pride and feeling empowered and feeling connected. Because without connectedness, we're nothing, and being connected, then we're everything. United, we're stronger. So thank you everyone for taking your time to tune in with me today. You are a conscious being, a conscious leader of your time, even for just taking your time to be with me on this program. You have a vision set, a value set that truly makes a difference in this world. So go out there and be great and carry the greatness of Australia with you. And then I hope to see you all again in another country on my Illuminate the World tour, or to come and work with you wherever you are in the world, or meet you on some of my travels. So thank you, and I'm honored that you took your time. Take good care and travel safe in the world, whether it is virtual or in real life. This is Christel Rosenkilde Christensen from my Illuminate the World Tour Australia.